Welcome friends to a full buyer's guide video for the 2016 to 2022 Lexus RX 350. Throughout this video, I will be sharing with you resources, common problems, and the current RX market, both used and new. I'm also going to share with you buying tips, and in this introduction, I will go over my personal experience driving multiple RXs throughout the years. So let's get started. As many of you might already know, this is the last naturally aspirated V6 Lexus RX. So many people are interested in getting their hands on one, and I don't blame you because this is truly an excellent product. However, make sure you do a thorough test drive with these models, really with any Lexus car or any car in general, because what I have noticed is you can drive 5 different RXs and all 5 of them are going to drive completely different from one another. Even amongst new Lexus cars, I have noticed this, and it's not just Lexus, I've noticed this with BMW, Audi, Volvo, Ford, you name it. I have noticed dramatic inconsistencies with the way a lot of these cars drive, but I've driven a lot of Lexus cars, both used and new, and I am just so shocked to see how different these vehicles can feel, and that just makes it so frustrating for me as a car journalist, because I can be super critical about a vehicle and I'm being transparent, I'm being as accurate as possible with my assessment of the vehicle, yet someone else will comment saying that they own or drive the exact same vehicle and they have not experienced any issues, and they'll say that their car drives perfectly. And I've come to realize that buying cars, whether it's used or new, it's like playing roulette. You just have to get lucky. That's why it's imperative that you test drive multiple vehicles. And at this point, obviously the RX this generation is a used car. We're in the year 2024 as I'm recording this video. But one thing I have noticed is the luxury, the ultra luxury, and the F Sport models seem to drive significantly better than the normal or the more base Lexus vehicles. I'm not the only one that's noticed this. Other people in the comment section have told me that when they upgraded in trim, when they got an F Sport or a ultra luxury version of the same Lexus that they owned before, whether it's a RX, an ES, etc., they noticed that for whatever reason, the vehicle does in fact drive better. Those higher trims, they feel more substantial to drive. They feel higher quality, smoother, quieter. It's really unfortunate that that's the case, but I've noticed this a lot throughout the years, especially with Lexus. When you go up in trim, you do get a better driving experience for whatever reason. Of course, there's going to be that group of people that are going to mock and scoff the F Sport, saying that, oh, a Lexus is supposed to be this big plush driving experience. Why would you get an F Sport? That's going to ruin the drive. However, these people have clearly not test driven an F Sport model, because if they did, they would realize that in many cases, the F Sport is one of the smoothest, most fluid driving Lexus cars. I have no idea why that is. Again, there is so much inconsistency throughout the lineup, throughout the years. But in general, this is what I've noticed with the RX. Go with those higher trims. Don't be afraid of the F Sport. And also, many people who are interested in purchasing a Lexus made in Japan, they can simply look at the VIN number. A lot of people have said this in the comment section and throughout many forums, that if the VIN number starts with the letter J, that's going to mean the vehicle was made in Japan. So if that's important to you, there you go. Another thing, these vehicles were available as a RX L model and as a hybrid. I'm not going to focus too much on the hybrid here because this is going to be a used car purchase, and personally I would rather skip as much complexity as possible, so that's why I don't personally recommend hybrids in the used car market. Granted, the Toyota Lexus hybrid systems are pretty much the best in the world, it's top tier, but in the used car market I think it's wise just to stick with the regular RX 350. But if you're interested, I have test driven the hybrid models. They drive great, no issues, but I would personally skip it in the used car market. The L model was essentially an elongated RX, and it was pretty much available as a 3-row as well when you got it as an L. And some people have also reported that the L models of the RX also drive and feel a bit smoother, and they somehow exude a more premium feel when they roll down the road. Something else you might want to look into, but the key takeaway is do a thorough test drive. But if you get one in perfect working condition, the vehicle should react extremely well. That V6 engine with that 8-speed automatic transmission, it should be shifting relatively quickly. The engine should feel responsive. The vehicle should be very quiet. It should ride exceptionally well. And overall, the RX should not feel like a generic driving appliance. It should exude some type of a special vibe when you drive it. It's very difficult for me to put it in words, but you should immediately be able to tell that you are in a luxury product that drives better than more common cars. Let's just put it that way. It should feel genuinely special and great to you, and that's what you should be looking out for when you're test driving these cars. When you go with the official Lexus dealership, they might let you take the vehicle home for a day, and you might be able to put maybe 100 or 150 miles on the car. That's great. You should do that extended test drive, and also sit in the vehicle as much as you can. Another thing I've noticed is the ultra luxury seats, the F Sport seats, they tend to be more comfortable than the standard seats. So if you're a little bit more sensitive or you have some back issues, make sure you take advantage of those extended test drives. Sit in the vehicle as long as you can. And once again, report to us in the comment section your findings regarding the RX and what your personal ownership experience has been. It can be a huge help to people that are in the used car buying market. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's move on to my first resource, which is Edmunds. I really like to use Edmunds to find the various model year changes that happened throughout the years. And I also like the Edmunds spec sheet. They do a great job in presenting to you the original OEM specs, along with the MSRP prices for those past model years, along with how much the options used to cost in the previous years. So that's a great resource. So let's get into it. Okay, I'm on the Edmunds website, 2016. That of course was the first model year of this generation RX. In 2017, they took some of the previous optional safety features and they made that as standard equipment in 2017. And they also made the F Sport trim available as a front wheel drive option. In 2018, the RX received no new changes. In 2019, we got integration with the Lexus Inform Connect smartphone app. 2020 was a pretty big year for the RX. We have revised front and rear styling. We got a new grille. We got slightly sportier handling. And this is something that I noticed in 2020 and beyond. The vehicle did exude a more taut handling characteristic. It felt a little bit more crisp to drive 2020 and beyond. I really appreciated that. And also, we have a new touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And in general, we just have more standard safety features in 2020. So that's a pretty big model year right there. In 2021, they made blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert as standard. And they also made wireless smartphone charging as an available option. In 2022, there's no real significant changes, and that is the last model year of the RX for this generation. Okay, another thing I really appreciate about Edmunds is their spec sheets. I also appreciate how it shows you the original MSRP prices for that particular model year. So in 2016, a base RX 350 started at $41,900. Today, a 2024 RX is going to start at $49,950. So we have a $8,000 increase over the span of 8 years. Many of you will be saying, oh, it's because of inflation and all of these things. You'd be surprised because I remember when the 2013 GS 350 came out, that was the new redesigned GS. It cost less than the 2012 GS that it was replacing. Mind you, a fully redesigned GS costing less than the model that came before it. This 2016 RX though, it was $1,000 more compared to a 2015 RX that it was replacing. It was just a different time back then. You know, they would give us vehicles that were pretty much better in every way and completely redesigned, and the vehicle would end up costing either less or just marginally more than the vehicle that it was replacing. Nowadays, cost is just going up for almost no reason at this point. But anyway, yeah, these vehicles, they came with that legendary 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6 with 295 horsepower, 267 pounds-feet of torque. The vehicle got 19 in the city, 26 out on the highway, and you were able to put regular fuel in these vehicles, according to the spec sheet from Edmunds. The hybrids, on paper at least, wasn't drastically more efficient. A RX 450h in 2016 got 30 in the city, 28 on the highway, and for whatever reason, they recommended using premium fuel. Many owners reported that they did beat those EPA estimates for the hybrid RX. However, as mentioned before, these are going to be used car purchases. I would rather skip the complexity of the hybrid, which is why I'm not focusing on that here today. But these SUVs, they came with a 8-speed automatic for the RX 350s. These vehicles were available in either pure front-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive, and had a max towing capability of 3,500 pounds. Overall length of this SUV was 192.5 inches. Did 0 to 60 in about 7.9 seconds. You had plenty of space inside for the front occupants, the second row occupants, as well as the trunk space. All of that was absolutely excellent with the RX. I really appreciate the packaging of this SUV. The overall interior space in general was just really beautiful and hit way above its weight class. However, once again, many people are going to say how outdated the Lexus interiors look. I never really understood that because in my opinion, I always thought that they used unique designs, angles, and shapes throughout the interior. You had wood, you had metal components along with leather just slathered everywhere. And when you went with the higher trim ultra luxury models, you got the semi-aniline leather. So you had wonderful materials being used everywhere. There was a good sense of solidity with the interior space. Now, over the years, when the vehicle got older, people put more mileage on it and they started to park it out in the sun. They did notice that the dash would become creaky and rattly, and some people noticed that they had a phenomenon known as the sticky dash, where they would put their hands on the dash and it would feel a little sticky to the touch. Those are some things to watch out for, and I'll talk more about that. But anyway, back to this Edmunds spec sheet. Another thing I really appreciate is how it shows you the various options that you were able to get with the vehicle and how much those options cost for that model year. In 2016, the luxury package, it cost about $4,600. The 360 camera was about $1,300, and the 12.3-inch navigation screen along with the Mark Levinson audio system was a little over $3,200. And if you love your music, you're definitely going to want to get the ML audio system. It's one of the absolute best and really worth looking for in the used car market. So hopefully you appreciate Edmunds as a resource for spec sheets and to learn about the various model year changes. In this next segment, let's go ahead and let's talk about the various issues that you can run into with these vehicles. Okay, one of my most favorite websites to check used car problems is going to be NHTSA.gov. This website will show you customer complaints, recalls, current investigations, and manufacturer communications. This is also known as TSBs, or Technical Service Bulletins. This is where the manufacturer themselves find issues with their own product, and personally, when I use this website, I like to use the first model year of a particular car's generation. So in this case, 2016 was the first model year of this generation RX. And this way you will get the most amount of information out of this NHTSA website. Now, obviously, when you're shopping in the used car market, it's best to avoid the first model year of any vehicle. Anyway, you come to the complaint section. You have about 69 complaints here. I'm obviously not going to go through all of this, but you have things like an oil leak from the timing belt casing at about 71,000 miles. The automatic transmission can occasionally jerk and feel unrefined. Granted, that happens with a lot of used cars. One person said that their 2016 RX failed to come to a stop. So when they hit the brakes, the vehicle just didn't stop and it resulted in a collision. Some people had their sunroofs explode on them. Other people had water leaks from heavy rain through their sunroofs. So again, sunroofs, that's something that is a problem with just about every manufacturer. Over the years, they tend to cause issues, and yes, they do tend to explode as well. And you might be thinking, well, this sounds very scary, and that's because, yes, it is scary. Buying a used car is a very scary experience. Anything can happen to anyone. There's obviously the people that have had their cars for 200,000, 500,000, 2 million miles and never had a single issue. I'm not saying that that's not possible, but I just don't appreciate how some of those owners will comment and act like they are the rule and not the exception. Yes, Lexus, Toyota, this RX, these are reliable vehicles for the most part, but that does not mean that they are perfect and that you're never going to have issues. It is important to consider what can potentially go wrong with any vehicle that you can buy. I mean, I know of a master technician that has 2 Mercedes-Benzes. Both have over 300,000 miles on it, and he has never had a single issue. I also know of people with new Toyota Corollas where their transmission took a dump on them. So car quality, once again, it's a lot like driving them. It's all over the place. You can't really predict this stuff, and that's why I've always preached warranties and leasing on this channel to help you hedge against as many of these problems, because when you're buying these cars used and out of a warranty, these issues, it can really compile and compound, and that's how you end up with clapped out cars. You've also had people that have had just in general vibrations and shaking during braking. Most of that can be solved through a good alignment or just simply replacing the brakes, the rotors, the pads, etc. You can expect there to be some vibrations coming through the steering wheel and the brakes when you have a heavy luxury vehicle. It's just going to happen eventually. Again, you do the alignment, you swap out your brakes, that should take care of that. But clearly you don't have 69 issues with the RX. Most of this is repetitive and people just stating the same issue over and over. So again, I'm not saying that this is an unreliable product, but these are things to certainly keep in mind. Now, the next section is the recalls. We have 3 recalls here. With the RX, we have airbag sensor failure, we have a brake actuator that may have damaged O-rings, and we also have an issue where the inflator gas may leak from the driver's knee airbag. There's also a fuel pump recall as well, and the good thing about recalls is these are things that the dealership will take care of for free, so you don't have to worry about that. Now you come to the manufacturer communication section. We have 195 of these. Again, it does not mean that we have 195 issues with the vehicle. A lot of this is repetitive or simply insignificant things, but Lexus themselves have reported some squawking or knocking noises coming from the engine compartment when depressing and or releasing the brake pedal. We also had an issue where the front inside door handle may become inoperative. We also had various leaks with the powertrain components. Again, I'm not here to go through all of this. I'm mainly here to just share with you the resource so you can do your own research and come to your own educated conclusion. But NHTSA is not the only website. There are other resources I want to share with you, so let's go into that. Another resource I really like is carcomplaints.com. It pretty much takes the information from NHTSA and they compile it in a more easier to understand format. I also like their bar graph that shows you which model year is the most problematic. And obviously 2016 and 2017, it's best if you avoid those 2 model years and you get something 2018 and above. But you can click on the model year that you're interested in, and again, it shows you complaints, recalls, and TSBs like before. But what I like about this website is you can do Control F on the TSB section and you can kind of go through which TSB you're most interested in on this website. And sometimes Car Complaints will also share with you the crash test results, but you can also go on the IIHS website for that. And the RX is a relatively safe vehicle, no problems there, but obviously crash tests have gotten more strict nowadays, so the RX will probably fail today, but I mean, it's gotten really strict now. I personally don't mind putting a family in this. This SUV should do just fine. But of course, we have other resources that we can go to, primarily Google. You just go on Google, type in Lexus RX 350 problems, and you have a bunch of websites that pop up, one of which is copilotsearch.com. This website will also show you which model years you should avoid, and they will also list out some of the common issues like dashboard cracking, oil leaks, steering problems, battery failures, defective rain sensors, rattling doors, etc. These are all things that you should watch out for when buying a used RX. And again, going with the 2018s and above, that's going to be your best bet. We also have the forums like Club Lexus. This is where owners like you and me write in about their personal experiences and issues that they've been having with their vehicles. So Club Lexus, that's a powerful forum to use. And here you will see many people who have had their RX and never had an issue with their vehicles, because at the end of the day, this is a very reliable product. It's one of the best used luxury cars that you can buy. But as I mentioned before, with the other resources, these vehicles are not completely perfect. Nothing that man makes will ever be perfect. That's why I wanted to share with you these websites. And yes, there was someone on the Club Lexus forum. They had a 2017 RX and they had excessive noise and vibration issues. We also have people complaining about exhaust drone. So whenever they're accelerating, they will get a lot of obnoxious exhaust drone with their vehicle. Others have had some HVAC problems. Now HVAC, that's something that can go wrong with just about any car, but keep in mind, HVAC issues can be like thousands of dollars in repairs. This is why I personally recommend getting a warranty, but I get it, not many people trust aftermarket warranties. So I'm going to be talking about that in the next segment, which is the used and new Lexus RX market. All right, my most favorite website for researching used cars and even new cars, it's going to be cargurus.com. I mainly like this website because you can filter out the accident cars, the salvage titles, the frame damage, etc. And why do you want to sort out these vehicles? Well, that's because you have no idea how some of these body shops are going to put these vehicles back together. It'll never be back to that OEM spec. So I just like to avoid all of the accident cars, the lemon histories, and all of that, because that's also going to affect your resale value when you decide to sell in the future. So it's best if you don't have any accidents on the Carfax. Anyway, after filtering out all those vehicles, there's about 3,400 Lexus RXs from the 2016 to 2022 model year range. The cheapest of which is about $20,000. And again, that's with very high mileage, 150, 200,000 miles, etc. Some of them with a little bit less mileage. And again, that's going to depend on your location and obviously pricing, inventory, all of this stuff is going to change in the future. So if you're watching this a couple months or a couple years down the line, obviously, all of this is going to be drastically different. Again, that's why I'm just sharing with you the resource to help you out in your buying journey. Anyway, a lot of these lower priced, high mileage vehicles, they're going to be out of warranty. So all the issues that I talked about before, yeah, that's going to be coming out of your pocket if it does happen to pop up. And as mentioned before, it's best to avoid 2016 and 2017s. And now the price goes up to about $25,000 when you do that. And I also mentioned the F Sport, the Ultra Luxury, these are going to be your highest quality driving experiences. Well, another issue when you go with the high spec models is you also get more features with the car. And when you have more features and more electronics, that's just more stuff that can potentially break with your vehicle. And I know I mentioned the ML audio system. The Mark Levinson is amazing. However, a lot of people do have issues with the ML amp that tends to go out. I think it's about $1,000, $1,500 to fix that amp. So if you like the RX and you just have to have a used car in this overinflated market, your best bet is to get a certified pre-owned Lexus. Okay, you can filter by CPO cars. On Car Gurus, you have about 500 of these for sale throughout the country. Now, you're going to see some random dealerships like Mitsubishi and Honda and Chevy advertise, CPO models. Don't fall for that. The only company that can sell certified pre-owned vehicles is Lexus themselves. So make sure that the CPO car you want is located at a Lexus dealership. And what is a certified pre-owned car? These are vehicles that have to go through a quote-unquote rigorous inspection. According to Lexus, their cars have to go through a 161-point inspection. Take that for what you will. And most importantly, they will offer you a warranty. These warranties come straight from the manufacturer, and these are the best type of warranties to get, because I understand many people's concerns. They're afraid of the third-party warranties like your car shields and your endurance. And I have heard a lot of horror stories on Reddit regarding companies like Endurance not paying out on repairs when people needed like a full engine. It's possible that some of these people are skipping out on the maintenance, and maybe that's why they got denied their warranty claims. That could be a possibility, and that can certainly happen here as well if you're not maintaining your certified pre-owned vehicle. But assuming that you are, the manufacturer warranties, they pretty much pay out every single time. So this is the best coverage that you can get. Obviously, maintenance items are not going to be covered, like brakes and tires. And something else I like is Lexus also offers 2 years or 20,000 miles, whichever comes first, of complimentary maintenance with your CPO purchase. So you got your warranty, you have your complimentary maintenance for 2 years, you have roadside assistance, you can get loaner cars from the dealership. There's a lot of benefits here by purchasing a certified pre-owned Lexus, and Lexus also has pretty much the best dealership experience out of just about any car brand. That's another great thing. So if you love used cars but you want some protection, well, certified pre-owned is the best way to go. Most of these cars, they're going to range between $30,000 to $40,000 depending on the options, the mileage, all that good stuff. And usually with CPO cars, you will get more favorable interest rates as well. However, in the case of Lexus, whether you buy used, new, lease, it doesn't matter. Interest rates really suck with Lexus right now. It's 5.99% for 2019 and up used certified pre-owned Lexus RXs. But get this, if you are to finance a brand new 2024 RX, you're also going to be paying 5.99% in interest. Yeah, that really sucks. But granted, even with perfect credit, if you were to get a used car loan right now, you can expect to pay like 10 to 15%, again, with perfect credit. So, the used car buying market is trash right now. 5.9% for a certified pre-owned Lexus, I guess it's not terrible. I would try to stay as close to the $30,000 to $35,000 range as much as possible. And the good news is, if you love your Lexus and you get it certified pre-owned, it's going to be a lot easier to extend that warranty. You can just pay an extra $2,000 or $3,000 and get that extended a little bit further if you want to keep this car long term. Just make sure that if you are going to extend the warranty, that it continues to be a prorated warranty, meaning if you decide to sell your vehicle off early, you can get a prorated amount of that warranty money refunded back to you. So let's say you extended the warranty an additional 4 years, but you decide to sell the car in 2 and you spend $4,000 on the warranty, you should be getting $2,000 back as a refund. So that's how prorated warranties work. But how does this compare with financing or leasing a brand new RX? Well, let's talk about that in this next segment. Okay, personally, I am partnered with an automotive broker named AutoCompanion. He's one of the largest brokers in the United States. He's located in Washington, D.C., and he's got some of the best Lexus prices throughout the country. Right now, on a new RX, the gas models, he's offering like 9% off MSRP. He also has a free leasing calculator, which I'm going to have linked in the description box below. This is a powerful tool because leasing programs, they change every month, and this calculator will update every month, and it shows you the interest rate on the lease, also known as the money factor. It shows you the residual values along with the incentives that you can qualify for in your region. So if you lease a new RX as of February 2024, you get an additional $1,000 lease incentive. And incentives stack on top of the discount. On a $56,000 RX 350 premium all-wheel drive. With 9% off, you're paying about 51 grand, so AutoCompanion is giving you a $5,000 discount there. And if you lease it, you get an additional $1,000. So you're getting $6,000 off of MSRP. That's pretty great, but what you have to understand is, as of right now, the interest rate on the lease is trash. It's about 7.5%. So the payments, it's around $800 a month, assuming you have perfect credit and you're putting no money down on the lease. That is pretty unfortunate, but as we just saw, when you finance a new or a certified pre-owned Lexus, you're still paying 6% in interest. So if you financed a new RX about the same MSRP, you can expect to pay like $900 a month on a 72-month finance. And for a $35,000 certified pre-owned RX, your payment is about $580 a month. All of these payments are really stupid. The only way you can really save and get ahead with the new RX is if you do like a one-pay lease, meaning you pay all of your payments up front. The only reason why you would do this is to reduce the interest rate that you pay on the lease. That's the main reason why people do one-pay leases and multiple security deposits. At that point, yeah, you can get a decent deal, but again, that's going to require a lot of cash and capital. Also, with the new RX, the turbo 4-cylinder, it's honestly fine. I don't mind it. It is louder than the V6 engine, but it does offer pretty effortless low down torque, so it's still pleasurable to drive. I don't mind the turbo 4-cylinder. The new RX, it does look great, and the best attribute about the new RX is the seats. I love the new Lexus seats, very comfortable, but again, I test drove the luxury model, and as I mentioned before, the luxury models and the F Sports tend to feel and drive a little bit better than the lower grade Lexus vehicles. Again, some people are going to argue with me regarding this. Actually, I'm almost positive people are going to argue with that statement. They're going to say that their base model Lexus drives amazing. And again, let's not discredit them. I'm sure they're right. But that's why I keep telling you over and over to do a thorough test drive for yourself. But one of the things I noticed with the new RX is how great the seats are, at least with the luxury model. The only other things you can do is like paying for a used car with a whole life insurance policy, not the garbage that you buy from State Farm or Allstate, but a specially engineered and designed one. If you don't know what I'm talking about, consider watching some Chris Naugle videos, but again, even to do that, you would need a lot of capital up front to take advantage of one of those whole life insurance policies and to purchase a car with a policy like that. Again, all of these numbers, they're going to change if you're going to watch this in the future. As I mentioned before multiple times, I'm just here to share with you the resources, and AutoCompanion is a huge resource. He's one of the largest brokers. He's got some of the best prices on new cars. So if you want to work with him, he does charge a broker fee, but if you sign up with my affiliate link, he will take some money off of that broker fee. You're also going to have to either ship the vehicle to your destination, which is something you're going to have to pay for, or you're going to have to physically pick up the vehicle at Washington, D.C. But considering how great his discounts are, that's probably going to be worth it, considering the fact many of these dealerships still charge over MSRP for some of these new cars. And something else to consider is, these are luxury cars. How about considering a normal economy brand like Mazda, Honda? Because something that many people don't know about is they've come a long way. A new Mazda CX-5 is not far from the refinement and the luxury-esque feel that you're going to get compared to like a Lexus RX or really any other luxury vehicle. A new Mazda genuinely feels like an Audi product to drive. They're very quiet and very refined. People on the internet will say otherwise. Some of them probably haven't driven these new cars that I'm talking about, so they can't believe just how far vehicles like a Mazda CX-5 or a new Honda CR-V has come. Honda is a vehicle that AutoCompanion offers, and lease payments on that, it's going to be about $400 a month for an EX trim level CR-V. He's also got Volkswagen deals. I love the new Tiguan. That's a great lease vehicle. Those are also going for about $400 a month for a Tiguan SE all-wheel drive, but that is not a vehicle that you can keep long term. You're going to have to dump that Tiguan after the lease is up. It's a great new vehicle, but it's a terrible used one. So AutoCompanion, he offers multiple brands, but it's just something to consider. If brand is not something you're concerned with, you can go with some of these economy brands like Mazda, Honda, even Nissan. The new Rogue is amazing to drive. Again, I would only lease that because a lot of these vehicles are like turbo engines, CVT transmissions. That's not something you want to be stuck with long term. These make for good, cheap lease deals, and then you dump it after the fact. But let's go ahead and let's conclude. Okay, as mentioned before, I am a huge fan of this generation Lexus RX. It's a practical machine, and when you get it in the right trim and you do a thorough test drive and you find the perfect gem, the RX feels incredible to drive. A true high quality experience that hits way above its weight class and its spec sheets. And I'm hoping in the comment section, I'm gonna get owners to really share with us their detailed thoughts and opinions on what I just shared with you today regarding the lower trims and the upper trim levels and the way they drive, along with the dealership experience, any issues that they've come across. I'm really hoping that the owners come through for us in the comment section. But for the most part, these are solid machines for sure. Easily some of the best used luxury cars you can get. Certified pre-owned, it's not a bad option. 30, 35 grand. It might also be a wise move to consider a $30,000 to $35,000 brand new CX-5, CR-V, or leasing a Nissan Rogue, or leasing a Volkswagen Tiguan, because all of those are also exceptional driving products, very practical, and brand new. So you're starting with a clean slate. When you're buying a used car, it's like buying a used house. Different components have a different expiration date, if you will. You know, you buy that old house, every year, it's just going to be something new, right? It's going to be the HVAC going out, the roof needs to be replaced, or some of the appliances in the kitchen are going wrong. There's always something going wrong, and that's the same way with a used vehicle as well. Sure, the vehicle might be reliable, but you're still responsible for depreciation. Just because you buy a used car does not mean you have escaped depreciation. That's still something you have to take into consideration. You have higher interest rates, you have repairs, you have maintenance, tires. I mean, all of these things, they compile and they compound. And cars don't exactly last forever. You're eventually gonna have to replace that used car sometime in the future, so you're gonna have to save up for your next vehicle as well. So you're never technically out of a car payment. And this is why I personally just like to lease new cars that have a high resale value, like Toyota 4Runners, Tacomas, etc. And that's why I want to share that with my audience, you know, just a different avenue of purchasing cars and thinking about car buying in a more three-dimensional way, I suppose, looking at it from all sides. But is the RX great? Of course it is. Is the new one good? Yes, but only as the turbo model. I noticed that the hybrid 350h was a little bit loud. The turbo engine seems to be more refined when it comes to the 2024 RX. But I hope you found value with this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. But thank you so much for watching. Take care and goodbye.